Wrestling podcast never felt this great. Tables, ladders, chairs, they tell it all. From the highest highs to the lowest fall. Grit and glory tales from the ring. Every chant, every cheer they'll bring. Devon and the Duke bring the heat. Wrestling tales knock you off your seat. Tune in now, don't you be late. Wrestling podcast never felt this great.
Brothers and sisters, we are just 1 week away from a historic moment in pro wrestling history. The Hardys versus the Dudleys. One more time at TNA Bound for Glory. Ironically, it's the 20th anniversary of Bound for Glory, literally a historic moment on so many levels. And in this episode of Devon and the Duke, you're going to hear from the 5-time Hall of Famer, the man who will walk into Bound for Glory with his brother and smash the Hardys and take those TNA titles and ride off into the sunset as only he can do. The one, the only, Brother Devon Dudley. What's going on there, bro?
Hey, how you doing, man? Just got done training, so getting ready.
Listen, I'm working on my Michael Buffer there. You see that little intro I gave you?
Well, now you got to copyright a tagline.
Listen, you got to make sure you don't embarrass me, Devon, because the way I've been talking trash about what you're going to do to the Hardys and all this stuff, I can't have you go in there and lose, man.
Well, win, lose, or draw, it's going to be good. But not only that, but you better believe that I'm going to be on top. Let me put it to you this way: I'm going to leave and I'm going to do the right thing. And if I leave with the titles, I'll leave with the titles. TNA is going to have to pretty much do a tournament for the vacated, not vacated, but for new TNA Tag Team Champions.
You hear that, TNA? You hear that? The man is taking your title and he's riding off into the sunset. As Ric Flair saying, I'm going downtown. All right. Party as a champion, brother. Oh my goodness. All right. Now listen, we got to talk about that leather jacket you've been walking around with, though. Is your blade motif? Is this the last outlaw? What's going on with that leather jacket you got, man?
Well, you know what the bad thing about that leather jacket is that it's big on me. And I didn't have a chance to go get another one to verify because I lost so much weight that when I got that was when I was at my biggest at 300 pounds. I was all jacked up. So now all of a sudden I'm wearing it and I lost all of that. I'm not 300 pounds anymore. It's like, damn, that shit's bad. I had to keep pulling. If you notice, the camera didn't catch it as much. I had to keep taking the jacket and kind of pulling it forward because it kept slipping. When something's big on you, it falls backwards. So I had to keep pulling it forward. But I don't know if I can get another jacket. I could get another jacket in time, but I don't know.
No, man, you gotta leave that. It looks sharp. You look like a damn a character out of a Marvel movie or something, man.
Somebody said Blade.
Yeah, definitely. That's the Blade jacket. We're just waiting for you to pull out the swords or something like that.
If I do that, good night, Hardys.
That's how I justify being big on you. I'm like, oh yeah, he got something in there. Don't play with him now. He gonna pull it out.
Oh, like I said, we're looking to have fun. We're looking to really go out there and do it. Listen, are we gonna go out there and reinvent the wheel? No. Are we gonna go out there and have a Randy Savage, Ricky Steamboat type of outing of WrestleMania, try to steal the show? No, we're gonna go out there and give nostalgia. We're gonna go out there and have fun. And we're going to go out there and say, they didn't lose a step. They still got it.
I love that. Once again, folks, October 12th, Lowell, Massachusetts, Bound for Glory, the 20th anniversary. And one last time, the Hardys versus the Dudleys, a.k.a. Team 3D. You do not want to miss it. If you can be there live, please be there live. If not, make sure you order it. But this is going to be incredible. all these guys, they're somehow, some way, they done drank from the fountain of youth, and they're ready to do it one last time here. So let's check it out. I love that. Now, what do you think about this whole saga that's happening between NXT and TNA? It's basically a civil war going on between the two companies there. Have you seen that?
I've heard of it. I've seen clippings of it on YouTube. Haven't really seen it, but it kind of reminds me of the invasion when WCW came into WWF, yeah, it was WWF at the time. And it was kind of like they were fighting for their lives because then ECW got involved. So now it was ECW, WCW versus the WWF. And a lot of people say that wasn't really done correctly. It could have been done a lot better. But I think this time the invasion is being done right. Again, you know, I love Vince. And please understand where I'm coming from, people. I'm not saying that I condone any of the nonsense that had been going on leading up to Vince's departure from the company. I'm just saying the man has done so much for professional wrestling. He has basically, created storylines that none of us will ever forget, kids or adults. The Hogan and Andre era, the Attitude era. It was a little iffy during the Bret and Shawn era because the Hogan and Andre era was making their way out and Vince had to create new characters. So that was pretty hard for him to do at that time. Him and Patterson and whoever else was in charge at the time with the storylines. But I give that man credit for what he's done for all the years that he was in charge and doing what he was doing, and you know, it's a new twist with Triple H doing it, and of course Shawn Michaels with their input. You have the experience of both men who learned under the learning tree of Vince McMahon. So they might see things not only the same, but a little different and can add to what is going on now with the invasion. So I'm happy to say that, I'm happy that they're doing it right. And not that Vince did it wrong, not saying that at all, but they're adding to it. They're getting all the nooks and crannies. They're getting all the holes that might be not that wasn't seen during the original invasion. Now they're seeing it in this one and they're correcting it.
Correcting it indeed. Listen, I all you got to do is listen to the TNA wrestlers themselves and what they're saying. By far, this collaboration with WWE has been far more beneficial and has allowed the wrestlers themselves to be featured in a much more presentable, much more serious light compared to that partnership that they had a couple years back with AEW, where basically AEW just walked in and beat the hell out of TNA and then walked out and left them hanging.
Well, in my opinion, again, it just goes to the booking. Again, Tony Khan is a fan. He's not a booker. He can get mad all he wants if he listens to this and say, oh, F Devon and everybody else in his staff, F Devon, he don't know what he's talking about. Apparently I do, because I'm not the only one that feels that way. I'm not knocking the man. I'm just saying he's not a booker. He is a gentleman who cares about pro wrestling very passionately. And he might have a vision, but sometimes the vision that he might try to portray is not what's being seen on TV. He has the talent to do it. They're freaking A-star talent over there in AEW. But I think some of the people that's in his ear should not be in his ear giving him advice on what to do and how to do it. You had guys like William Regal. You had guys like Billy Gunn. You had guys like Arn Anderson. You still have guys like Dean Malenko and all of them that have knowledge beyond knowledge. And you're going with certain yayos that have no business giving advice on how to book talent. And you cannot let the inmates run the asylum. You cannot do that. Somebody has to take charge with authority that knows what they're doing. And this is why Vince McMahon was so good at what he did during those eras that was successful, because he took charge and he had people that was behind him that could tell Vince no, and that would say, hey, this is how it should play out. And Vince is like, okay, yep, I see it. And they went with it.
Went with it indeed. And I mean, it's interesting because we saw a jump that I don't think anyone saw coming. Andrade, he was in WWE. Then he asked to be let out of his contract a few years back and went to AEW. He asked to be let out of his contract in AEW, goes back to WWE, and then he just got released because I guess he had gotten into trouble a few times, too many. And now he's back in AEW. He just re-debuted. Now he is set up for a feud with Kenny Omega, which is great. But they put him in Don Callis's stable, and there's already like another 11 guys in that stable. So you got all this talent just piled up, standing around, mugging around. When do we get to the point where you actually tap in to all of these talented wrestlers and utilize them in a manner that is so successful that you can actually build out your fan base in a reasonable manner? It boggles my mind, man. But
This is why I say you need somebody like a Michael Hayes or Pat Patterson, some or an Arn Anderson, people that know how to do this, people that know how to, utilize great talent like they have in there and make it mean something. Right now, some of these guys are getting lost, and a lot of them are getting frustrated, and some of them want to leave, some of them want to go back to, like some want to leave WWE, and then if things don't turn out good in WWE, they want to go back there, but then only to go back to get frustrated again. Listen, Tony's got to get it together, and I'm not someone that can help him. I wouldn't want that responsibility at all. And it's somebody like I said, a Pat Patterson, God rest his soul, or Michael Hayes. But if Michael Hayes was to ever go to AEW, Tony's got to listen to him because I've worked with the man not only as talent but behind the scenes as a producer. He knows what he's talking about, and I've seen Michael influence Vince decisions with some of the storylines that we've seen. Whether it was with Roman Reigns, that whole thing when he first won the title and was doing great during the COVID um, uh, part of wrestling, and even with the bloodline and things like that. Remember, I was there and I seen things, so I know somebody like a Michael Hayes can do it. I know if you get people like that. I don't know how many people like Michael and Pat Patterson that are out there, but I do know of Michael that can definitely do it. And there were talks about Shane McMahon coming to AEW at one point, and that could have been another one. Shane learned under his father. And I mean, he learned the hard way. He had to really learn. And, if anybody else can do it other than Michael, it probably could be Shane. Shane had great ideas when he was there. Was some of them used? No. Because, Vince, I guess, had to show that he still had his hand on things and he had to put Shane in his place. If that was the case, I don't know for certain if that was the case, but it seemed that way. So my thing is, why didn't you bring Shane in to help you? Or maybe he is helping and we don't know it. I don't know.
no, there's no way Shane McMahon is hoping because they would actually be successful if that were the case.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, again, God, Duke, they got so much talent and so many people that can go and help really put that company on the map. Yes, they are the number two company, but good God, how much more better they could be. It's amazing to me. I don't know.
Yeah, and here's my challenge. And I know a lot of folks out there where you're a little tongue in cheek with me. You know that I've always been hypercritical of AEW because I could tell right from the beginning that Tony was making too many promises that he couldn't keep, and then when he wasn't keeping the promises, he wasn't adequately acknowledging the fact that we got to dial it back. And on top of that, he was talking too much trash about WWE, and it didn't make sense. It's like, get your house in order first before you start playing that game. But with that said, I have a lot of friends in that company. And anyone who's listened to me podcast for the past nearly 10 years, it's not hard to figure out who I'm talking about. I don't want to see those folks be put in a position where they may not have a job, where they're not able to negotiate favorable contracts because there are not as many places to choose from. I don't want to see that happen. So when you hear Devon and myself talk about these things, really at the end of the day, we want them to succeed. But you can't do that when the guy in charge is too stubborn and doesn't realize or doesn't want to accept the fact that he doesn't know what he doesn't know.
But
You
I
got to
also
get the right
feel,
people. Go ahead.
yep, I also feel that there are too many people in his ear. There are people that I know about that, and I've not only that I know about, but I've heard from other people. Because just like you have friends there, I have friends. There are people in his ear that are giving him advice that should not be given advice. They've never really done anything in this business. They've tried to do things, but they were never successful. But yet they think they're the shit. And they telling Tony what he wants to hear, and that's not what it has. That's not what it takes. You have to. Oh, and, and like for instance, I'll give you a prime example. Bubba, my tag team partner, who is extremely good when it comes to putting stuff together, storylines, finishes, and things like that. He's very good. He learned under Vince, Paul Heyman, and Pat Patterson.
Yep.
So why wouldn't you? Instead of getting mad about what he's saying on Busted Open, how about you learn from him and try to get him to come in and help you?
Well, I think that's where the intimidation, that's where the ego comes into place. I don't think Tony wants strong personalities in the room openly telling him, I disagree with what you're saying there. We should try this instead. I think he's afraid of that, quite frankly. You know, which again, that's a sign of poor leadership. It's okay when you have somebody who has the qualifications to help you make your product better. You have to trust them. I don't care what industry you're in. But it's clear that Tony lacks that, which is why the company is still just stuck in neutral. They're definitely not going forward. I can tell you that much. Um,
I heard stories about Bill Watts when he came to WCW, and nobody really liked what he was doing because he had that old school mentality. But Bill Watts also had people helping him along the way. One of the things that struck me was when he decided that he was going to give the title to Ron Simmons.
yep,
The first African American to ever hold that title in a Southern Belt territory
yep.
where racism was so high. Even back in the early 90s, racism was so high. And for Bill Watts to go, no, this is what I like, this is what I feel is going to happen, and this is what's going to happen. Ron is going to have that title and beat Vader to become the first black WCW champion. He did it and it worked and it was very successful. But again, even Vince had ideas where he said no, he wasn't going to listen to outside parties and did it anyway. So, that is something that Tony needs. And that's something that Tony doesn't want to listen to. And, unfortunately, he could sit there and say all he wants. No, that's not true, Devon. I do want to listen. Bullshit, you do. Bullshit you do. And I don't care if he likes me or not. I don't care. I don't plan on working for the company. I don't have any ill feelings towards AEW, nor do I have any ill feelings towards Tony Khan. But I just don't like the way the organization is run behind the scenes. That's all I'm saying. I don't like the way it's run behind the scenes. So, in my opinion, again, I don't have any dislike for the man or the organization. I want to see AEW succeed because, again, we don't need one company to have the monopoly. We need, like you said, we need a place that we can go to. Hey, if I play football for the New York Jets and I want to go to another, football team, I should be able to do that. If my time has run out with the Jets, then let me go somewhere else and make money and show my talent. Maybe that other organization can bring that talent out of me where I can go out there and prosper. And that's what needs to be done.
well said. Well said. I agree 100%. That's what needs to be done. So please, Tony, come on, man. Just get it together. It's like the hardest part you've already have got it done. You have the talent and you have experienced talent and you have talent that are motivated. They want to go out there and entertain the fans and get them riled up so that they can make more money. That's the point. You just got to get it done, man. Even the merch stuff there, Devon. You know, and you're a Florida guy. You live down there, so you know exactly what I'm talking about. It won't take you too many steps to walk around that entire state and see WWE merchandise. You'll see people wearing something that's WWE related. That's not the case with AEW. It's very rare that you actually see people wearing AEW shirts. The Walmarts, they really don't make much money off of the AEW action figures. They don't sell very well, unfortunately, which is why they're usually on clearance. Um, how can you not cover your home state like that? That's just even Jacksonville, your home city. How can you not cover your home city? You
Well,
know,
they're missing the ball on a lot of stuff. And again, I can't express enough. And you diehard AEW fans understand where I'm coming from. I'm not knocking the product, nor am I knocking the talent. Hell of a talent. They are extremely good at what they do. And they have the talent to do whatever. But again, you have to be able to have those people that's going to be able to help you to be able to prosper the way it should prosper. And that's the only way that it'll happen is if you open up your mind and to what we're saying and what other people who have knowledge of this business is saying. Stop listening to people that's never done anything in this business, and yet because they're kissing your ass or what have you, that you think it's okay for them to say, no, it's not. Stop already. You have a company that can probably go down in professional wrestling history as being one of the greatest companies in pro wrestling, but yet you're dropping the ball in so many different avenues. I mean, it's ridiculous.
speaking of ridiculous, an old buddy of yours, brother Mark Henry, had an interesting comment that he made recently, and at least in my opinion, I felt it was absolutely ridiculous. Um, Mark said that for Cena's last match, Cena should wrestle Joe Hendry and put him over in the match. So Henry should beat Cena in Cena's final match. Now, of all the people that WWE has at their disposal, right? You got Obafemi, who is just coming off a fantastic NXT run. Of course, he's going to be moved up now. You have Trick Williams, good friend of yours. You have Omos, who's a giant, right? You got all these guys who are primed and ready to go and who could use the boost. And Mark Henry says, "Oh yeah, have Joe Henry beat John Cena." So I got to ask you here, Devon, in your opinion, does that make sense? And which way would you go with it?
No comment.
Sometimes no comment is all a comment, so I'll take that for what it's worth. There,
I mean, I hope I say his name right.
yes,
Obi,
Obafemi, yes, Oba,
Obafemi. I mean, hell of a talent, and never once did I ever dream that he would get it so fast the way he does. And if anybody deserves to be pushed to that next level, it's definitely him and Trick Williams.
yes,
Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying anything about Joe Henry. Joe Henry's good talent, and the whole thing when you say his name, he appears. It got over huge, but there's other guys who can benefit from it a little bit more, and that might be able to take it to the next level even further than the Joe Henry. So again, not saying anything bad about Joe. I think Joe's a hell of a talent. Do I think he still got more time under the learning tree? Absolutely, he does. But I think those other guys that we just mentioned, Oba and Trick, are definitely ready to go to that next level.
yeah, I think so. And here's the thing, like you said, that say his name and he appears, that Joe Henry stuff. He got the song. I think Joe Henry is in a position where his path is going to be far more like the Miz, which is great because the Miz has made a lot of money. He's helped put a lot of people over. He's been highly successful. He's a future Hall of Famer, and that's fantastic. But Obafemi's path, in my opinion, could be Bobby Lashley, could be Brock Lesnar. could be the first Obafemi. Why wouldn't you go in a direction like that? Trick Williams, Jesus, I mean, this guy is going to main event WrestleMania. There's no question about that in the not too distant future. This is a guy who could be the heir apparent to a Shawn Michaels. You know what
Hmm.
I mean? Just that excitement and that anticipation. What's he going to do? And building it up and the way that he talks on the mic, he'll talk you into the seats. It's like you got to give somebody like that an opportunity. You don't give it to a guy who, no disrespect to him, but I don't think, like you said, he doesn't need it as much as these other guys could certainly use it and take it and run with it. And those other guys are younger too. Let's not forget about that. You know?
Yeah. I mean, in my opinion, I feel that, like Oba and Trick, they've done everything they could do in NXT. It's time for the next level.
Yeah. Yeah. Agreed.
I
Agreed.
also feel that, you know, in saying that, it's like they're ready for the next level, but yet Joe still has a lot to learn. Um, in that aspect, he can learn a lot more being in NXT and even in TNA. But the other two, they've done all they possibly can do there, and it's time for them to move on.
Yeah.
It's time for them to go to that next level.
Yep. Yep. Absolutely. Absolutely. And then look, those guys, man, you look at what NXT has done since moving over to the CW station there. It's been 1 year officially, and you've had Trick Williams, you've had Obafemi. They've been champions carrying that brand, at least on the men's side, and they did a fantastic job, man. They did a fantastic job. The network is extremely happy with WWE NXT. They're delivering consistent ratings. It's like, what do you do with that? You know what I mean? It's good stuff. And now you have Ricky Starks, who's the NXT champion. So that's 3 black champions in a row down there in NXT. What do you think about that, Devon? That's an interesting situation there. And in the past year, they've had 3 champions and they've all been black.
Well, the thing about it is, it's never really been that way in the sport of
Ever.
pro wrestling, and
Ever.
I'm happy that it's happening. You know, there might be some guys in suits who traded in their white sheets for suits that may not like it, but it's happening, and I
It's
think it's I
happening.
think it's great. I think it's great.
Do we not give Shawn Michaels enough credit? I mean, legitimately, his version of NXT, uh, with the exception of when the 4 horsewomen were down there, when Sasha and Bailey and Becky and Charlotte were doing their thing, with the exception of that time period, I really enjoy what's happening in NXT over the past couple of years. Is Shawn Michaels an underrated promoter, let's say?
I think Sean is making that transition from being promoter, producer and all of that, from being talent to that. I think he's now being recognized because again, you can't say that he was a hell of a talent, and now he's being shown that he could be a hell of a producer. So he's making that transformation to the other side, and I think it's working great for him.
It's not lost on me that the diversity within NXT has been so consistent since Sean has taken over. You know, it used to be gritty and dark and heavy metal and white guys who look like they just got out of a bar fight. And now you got it a little bit more diverse on every level. Oba, Trick, Ricky, there's nothing about them that's similar other than the fact that they're black men. Outside of that, you got 3 totally different people who approach the way that they do their thing totally different, and yet in each instance it works. It's fantastic, you know. So I'm going to give Sean his kudos. I listen, HBK. I've called you out numerous times through the years. Hey, what are you doing about this? What are you doing about that, brother? You've delivered. So kudos to you. NXT is actually my favorite wrestling show week to week, by far, because I love the way that I can turn on the TV and I can see a mixture of people, and they're all hungry, they're all fighting. It's just great to see, man. I enjoy it a lot. You know, uh,
Hmm.
we touched upon this recently. Oscar and Io, and poor Kyrie in the middle of the two of them there. So Oscar's been spitting out that poison mist, and she's been going with the blue mist lately, turning people into Smurfs. So I want to play some inside baseball here, Devon, because Rhea Ripley and Io Sky have been victims of Oscar's blue mist. How hard is it to get that type of stuff off your skin, man?
Very, very hard because I remember when uh to Jerry used to do it to us. It was hard. I hated it. And I always wanted Bubba to take it because getting in the shower trying to get that stuff off of you, man, it's hard. It stays on you and you're going out to restaurants and you got blue stuff or red stuff all over you. You like a damn freak. So it's crazy to get that stuff off of you.
So hold on. Back in those days, you're walking around at what, 6'2", what, 270,
Yeah.
right?
Looking like a damn blue smurf.
Devon Smurf in the house, right?
Oh God, it was horrible.
Bro, what are those conversations like? Even let's take it a step further. Even when you go out after being in a fight where maybe you got busted open or you got a black eye or something like that, you clearly you got beat up, and then you go into these public establishments. What is that like, man?
Embarrassing.
Wow, wow, wow. Because not everybody knows who you are, so you're getting these stares at first, right?
Oh, stairs. Listen, they're looking at us like we got five heads.
What's the best example of that? Do you have a story, maybe a small town or maybe a place that's kind of a little too ritzy, and you show up all beat up?
No, I really don't have. I mean, there were times where I was busted open and I had, the gauze on my head covering up because there were times where I would just sit there, waiting to get food or waiting to get on an airplane, which was really embarrassing. And the stewardess comes up to me and she goes, "Sir, would you like anything to ooh, sir, you're bleeding." And I'm like, "What?" And the blood is trickling down my forehead,
Wow,
after being busted open. And it's embarrassing because they don't know. They just they you look like some damn degenerate getting on their plane, and they're informing the court, not the court martial, the what do you call those people that's disguised when you
air
don't know
marshal,
the
air
air
marshal.
marshals.
Yeah,
Hey, we got one here, and they're staring at you, making sure you ain't doing nothing crazy.
that's why. It's probably even worse for the women,
Well,
right?
they get scared to death.
Yeah, yeah. But imagine the women wrestlers though walking around all beat up, and Becky Lynch got her nose broken by Nia Jax a few years back. Can you imagine her going out to eat after that?
Going out to eat, like, did your husband do that to you?
That's it. That's it, right? That's what I would think. Like, damn, this poor woman. What happened to her? You know, that's see. These are the things, folks. These wrestlers, they're going through things that you just don't even understand.
Hmm.
How the hell is and looking at your forehead? I mean, you got all that scar tissue and what have you, brother. So I'm sure you, just like Ric Flair, you had many a night where you're out in public after getting busted open, and it just is what it is. You know?
Yeah, it is, and you deal with it, and you try to pretend like it's not even there, or it's not even happening.
Yeah, yeah. Good point. Good point. And let's switch over to a different sport for a moment here, because there is a huge boxing match that has been announced, and I know you want to weigh in on this. Mike Tyson going up against Floyd Mayweather, a match that no one could ever imagine would ever take place, and it's going to take place. What are your thoughts on that?
This is really going to happen. I mean, I saw rumblings of it, but I didn't know it was really going to happen.
They're saying spring of 2026. They've already putting out marketing and all that good stuff there. Yeah, this is going to happen, brother.
Oh man, come on, Mike. I mean, I honestly think that the Tyson Jake fight was a work.
Mm.
There's no way that that man was training the way he was training in training, and to go in that ring and look the way he did. I'm sorry, I just don't believe it. There was too many missed opportunities for Mike to catch him, and he didn't catch him. And for Mike to look really like his age, you didn't see that in training. You saw a Mike Tyson that looked like he was back in his 20s again when he was training. And then when he got in that ring, it was a whole totally different Mike. I'm not saying that he would do that um, with Floyd Mayweather because I think there's a genuine dislike on Mike's part because Floyd has been going around shooting his mouth though, talking about he's the greatest and he's even better than Muhammad Ali. He's better than George Foreman. He's better than Frazier. And I think Mike took offense to that. And after what Holmes did to Ali, and that was legit. And when I say what he did, he boxed Muhammad Ali and basically embarrassed Muhammad Ali. And for years as a kid, Mike always said he was gonna avenge that beating, and he did. He took it out on Holmes and beat him bad. So I firmly believe that if this does happen, you won't see a Jake Paul Mike Tyson fight. You're probably gonna see Mike kill Floyd.
Floyd was never a knockout puncher. Floyd just outlasted his opponents.
Yeah, but Mike is, and that's the
Yeah,
problem.
yeah, that's the problem. Floyd get tagged by Mike a couple of times. I don't know how he's going to hold up, man. I don't
And
know.
anybody that would believe that that fight was legit is crazy.
Yeah,
There's no way you could look at the training and what he was doing, and then look at what he did in the ring and think that that was actually legit.
no.
There were too many things that Mike was holding back in that fight. Listen, $20 million, I let Jake, I let Jake beat the hell out of me for 20 million, and embarrass myself if I had the same status as Mike had or the same knowledge in boxing that Mike had. I don't blame him, but at the same token, it just wasn't right.
Yeah, I agree. It doesn't make any sense, and you know, I understand a money grab is a money grab is a money grab, but you know, come on. So hopefully this is a real match. Good luck to you, Floyd. I think you're in for a lot of pain, Clubber Lang style. I think you're in for a lot of pain, my brother.
Mike
You
is
know,
just too big. Floyd is a little man.
yeah, yeah,
I just don't think I just don't see it happening.
yeah. Agreed. Agreed 100%. The Pro Wrestling Illustrated 500 has officially been released. I know how you feel about these lists here, but it's officially been released, the 2025 edition. And any guesses on who the number one wrestler listed this year is?
Hmm. I'm trying to think. I don't know if it was. I don't think it would be Cody. I don't know Cody Rose. Was it somebody from AEW?
No, thank God. No, it was definitely Cody again. Somehow, some way, Cody
Oh,
Rose
it was
has
Cody.
maintained it. Yep, it was him again. I think this is the third year in a row for Cody. You know, so
Oh, wow.
yeah,
Well, you know how I feel about it. I mean, in terms of what they did to me during the Reverend Devon character. They didn't even. I beat John Cena. I beat Randy Orton, Rikishi, Batista. I beat them all. But yet they didn't even put me in. I wasn't even in the 400s. Oh well, we didn't know. We didn't know. We didn't mean to overlook Devon. And from that point on, I never gave the respect to Pro Wrestling Illustrated.
yeah, that they definitely snubbed you on that. And Kevin, even though you weren't the editor back then, somebody has to pay for it. So you should probably be at Bound for Glory. We'll
Nah,
save a table for
I
you.
let it go, Duke. Duke, I let it go. I let it go. I mean, that was so many years ago. And one of the things as a kid that I always wanted, I was like, one day I would hope to win a tag team of the
Of the
year
year. Yeah, yeah.
um, plaque. I was like, I was hope, man, one day you never know if I ever make it in pro wrestling, that's gonna happen to me. And guess what? We did 2 years in a row, and I never got one plaque.
Yeah, I don't understand that. I
Now,
think that somebody must have had a problem with you, man. Maybe you beat their favorite tag team or something. I don't get it. You
well,
know,
it'd be useless to put us in the 500 this year or next year, even after we fight the Hardys.
you could get inspirational tag team of the year though. You could win one of those honors.
I doubt it.
To come back. Oh well, let's talk about this for a second. To come back from what you've come back from, to lose all that weight, to get yourself in the type of shape that you're in, to be a featured match on a major pay per view, brother. You're setting up the narrative, if you ask me.
Yeah, but you know how some people are and how they think.
You never know.
How we feel,
Yeah,
and
yeah,
how we see things. Even the fans is one thing, but it's
yeah.
always that one that needs to put his influence or his whatever on it and snub those who, I don't know. It just,
Well,
I don't know.
time will
That
tell.
stuff. Yeah, time will tell, brother.
Time will tell. I do want to give a shout out. There is a new project on the horizon, a new book series that's coming out by Guy Evans, and it's going to be about the life of Hulk Hogan, the Hulk Hogan story, a biographical trilogy. Guy has announced that he's working on this, and he thinks it's going to be a 3-part book series. He already has a whole bunch of data and direct quotes from Hogan and what have you. Guy Evans is the guy who wrote the WCW Nitro books, talking about what really happened and why the company went under and stuff like that. Spoke to all the different executives that no one ever heard of before or you would never expect to hear from, etc. So he's got a bunch of quotes from Hogan already, but he's going to be talking to a lot of people. And a little birdie told me, Devon, that Guy Evans wants to speak to you, of all people. What do you think about that?
For what?
Uh, You're somebody who knew Hulk
For
Hogan.
what?
You worked with him, especially. I don't think there's enough people out there who could speak to the TNA years, quite frankly. You know what I mean? And who are going to give information that we may not have heard before. I think that's probably what it is, you know. But should be interesting. I think it's going to be a big project. Um, Again, Guy Evans, he's the guy who wrote those Nitro books, and I think he actually wrote a book with Eric Bischoff directly as well 2 years ago. So keep an eye out for that. Anyway, what else you got going on,
Hmm.
man? I hear that you're going to be at Kowloon the day before Bound for Glory. Is that true?
Yeah, which is gonna suck because I can't eat the food.
Yeah, what's
That is
that
gonna
all about?
completely suck
What,
because
what
I'm
is
not gonna
that
be able
all
to eat the
about?
food because I'm dieting and doing what I got to do, and so much sodium in that. I'm gonna be pissed off. I'm pissed.
Man, you're missing out,
Who you
brother.
who you
They
telling?
the crab rangoon, the chicken
Yeah, okay,
fingers, the
okay.
saugus
Duke, you do
wings. Oh,
not have to rub it
yeah,
in.
yeah. Table for two with Team 3D, Saturday, October 11th, and that's from 12 p.m. to 1:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time at Kowloon Restaurant in Saugus, Massachusetts. It's on sale now if you want to be there, folks. TNAmerch.com. Definitely get your tickets for that. Should be a good time. There is also the Hardy Party happening from 2 to 3:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time at Kowloon. Again, TNAmerch.com for the tickets. So, you got tickets for both events there. You'll be able to see both tag teams and hear them right before they beat the hell out of each other the next day. Should be a good time. Should be a good time, you know.
I think I'm about to go pay a visit to the Hardys.
Uh-oh. At Kowloon. Now listen, man, don't tear up the restaurant. That's a legendary place now.
It's my frustration for not being able to eat the food.
There it is. There it is. Anyway, big man, what's the best way everybody listening now can keep up with you, especially the wrestling school? As we head into the holiday season and get ready for the new year, you know, people start thinking about their goals, things they want to do in life and what have you. If they want to train with the best, become a superstar and what have you, what's the best way they can reach out?
Well, they can reach out to me on Devon Dudley Academy on Instagram. Also, they can reach out to me at Testify Devon on my social media, or they can email me at d.dudley96@yahoo.com. Plus, you can also check out my YouTube channel, which is, of course, Devon Dudley YouTube channel. And, like and subscribe, leave your comments down below, and I read them all.
I love it. In between beating up Hardys and training and drinking your smoothies, you know, he's reading those comments and responding and all that good stuff there, folks. So definitely check it out. As always, Duke Loves Rasslin on Facebook, on X, dukelovesrasslin@gmail.com. Let me know what you think. This is a big moment, folks. Bound for Glory. I can't stress this enough. I've had so many people from around the nation saying, hey, I'm going to be there. We're going to be cheering on Devon, which is just fantastic. I love it. I love it. Come out, see this historic match, support the Hardys, support the Dudleys, support pro wrestling. I mean, why not? You know? And with that said, it is time for the word of the week. What do you got for us this week, big man?
I'm going to say, keep it very simple. The word of the week is pray for the Hardys. Pray for the Hardys.
And listen, and we will not delete. And we will not delete. Okay?
Absolutely not. Pray for the Hardy Boys. That's all I'm going to say.
Testify.
Pray for them. And listen, I'm going to say it too. Pray for Devon too.
Testify.
Testify indeed.
Okay. Yeah, right.
Strictly for the culture every day. Step in style in your unique way. Patterns and colors so divine. All about the perfect line. Be yourself, let your spirit fly. In this fashion, you'll touch the sky. Strictly for the culture, brand so fine. Dress to impress and show your shine. Strictly for the culture, every day. Step in style in your unique way.
Visit www.strictlyfortheculture.ca.
Backstage whispers and the crowds roar. From matching giants to legends of yore. Devon's wisdom and Duke's keen view. Every episode feels like it's brand new. Devon and Duke bring the heat. Wrestling tales knock you off your seat. Tune in now, don't you be late. Wrestling podcast never